Today's topic, I'd kind of like to jump in with asking a couple of questions. Or does this sound like you in any way? Inability to realistically assess your competence and skills, attributing your success to other factors, berating your performance, fear that you won't live up to expectations, overachieving, sabotaging your own success, or self-doubt.
This is a topic that I think is much more prolific and widespread than we realize. Steve and I have certainly both experienced it many times in our lives. And I wanted to first of all read the dictionary definition of imposter syndrome,
Okay.
because there's an important point I want to make about it. And so the Oxford Dictionary says of imposter syndrome that it is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. And what I want to say about that, just to clarify, is that you don't have to have been successful and unable to see that your success was due to your own efforts in order to experience imposter syndrome. And what I mean by that is even just the thought of doing something can bring up those feelings of doubt and feeling like an imposter, feeling like a fraud. An example would be if someone wants to be a relationship coach, for example, and they say they feel, I know I could help couples in relationships. I know I could help them have healthy, happy relationships or heal old wounds. But that person isn't in a relationship themselves, that can be an opportunity to feel like an imposter, to feel like a fraud. Well, how can I be helping these other people, their relationships, when I'm not even in a relationship? Now, that sounds like a logical argument, but it's not. So it sounds like a logical argument to the person who's feeling like a fraud. I like to answer the logic first. And the logic of it is, if you can help someone else, even if you haven't achieved it, doesn't mean to say you can't help someone else or you shouldn't help someone else. If you take two people, let's say there's two relationship coaches or two people who want to be a relationship coach, and neither of them is in a relationship themselves, but they both feel they can help others. One of them may feel, yeah, I can help these people because I know what it takes. The fact that I'm not in a relationship is neither here nor there. I just haven't found the right person, or I'm happy on my own at the moment, but I can help those in a relationship. The other one, exactly the same situation, could feel, I can't help other people if I'm not in a relationship myself. So what makes the difference between those two people? Same circumstances, but different feelings. One feels like a fraud, the other one doesn't feel like a fraud. So what makes the difference?
Well, yeah. And I think that as you were talking about that, I was also aware that I've worked with plenty of people who were high achievers that were actually very successful in what they were doing. And to a certain degree, well, I think to a very large degree, I think that you and I both kind of fit into that camp that, that we're both really good at what we're doing. But in the past, we were dragging around those characteristics of imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
And getting in our own way with
Yes.
that. And I think that the point that you're making here with this is that whatever we are engaged in, and that whatever service or whatever work that we're engaged in, it's not the inability of doing something. It's not the external circumstances that is in fact the core or the foundation of the imposter syndrome.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of capsulizing that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yes, well said. So it appears to be because the conscious mind is looking for reasons for how we're feeling. So it comes that way around as well. It's not that the fact is there and then we have the feeling and the thoughts. The feelings are coming first, and they're coming from the unconscious part of the brain. Those are coming first. And then the conscious mind is going, oh, it's because of this. It's because I don't have what it takes, or nobody's going to listen to me, or I haven't helped myself. How can I help others? That kind of thing. On the other hand, for a different person, their brain, the unconscious part of the brain, is instead producing good feelings when they think of helping people, regardless of whether they've actually helped themselves yet or not, or, have what it takes. And maybe they'll need to go and do some more training or get some more experience. So there'll be practical solutions to the real hurdles, like I need more qualifications, or I need more training, or I need more experience. Let me do some things for free to get the testimonials. There are all kinds of workarounds that some people will do, and others, it'll hold them back because they believe that it means something about who they are. And where that is coming from is the unconscious part of the brain referring to our self-image. And our self-image is what determines our automatic feelings, our automatic thoughts, and the way we automatically respond, and whether we can problem solve or not.
Yeah, and I think that what we often engage in, we're trying to fix it. We're trying to find ways of shifting the externals around, the circumstances in our life around, to overcome this imposter syndrome. But with a recognition that the foundation of this, the root of this, is in the unconscious part of the brain, we can change all those external circumstances. We can get the training, we can get the degree.
Yes.
It's like I kept chasing degrees to try to get rid of my imposter syndrome. We can keep getting the pieces of paper or whatever, and we still end up dragging that feeling around with us because it's not coming from the outside. It's coming from the implicit references that are there.
Exactly. Yes. So that's another thing is, let's say, going back to the relationship coach example. So let's say the person who, they're not in a relationship, but they want to help others, but they feel like a fraud because they know they can help those others, but they know they're not in a relationship. So now I'm a fraud. If they were to get into a relationship, a happy relationship, so they were living the example and helping others, their brain would find another way to feel that feeling, because it's not coming from the fact that they're not in a relationship. It's coming from a much deeper place. In addition to that, their brain will also probably keep them from getting into a relationship so that they can continue to feel that, to keep them in alignment with that feeling of, I'm a fraud, I'm an imposter, nobody else is going to listen to me because I haven't done it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So a starting point in dealing with imposter syndrome is a kind of having this basic understanding of how the machinery is working in the background. What's actually causing that imposter syndrome?
Right. So one of the things I like to do is teach that it's important to answer first. So for example, let's, using that relationship coach, how can I help others when I'm not in a relationship myself? I'm just a fraud, or they'll think I'm a fraud, whatever, however those thoughts come up. Answering it first, because if we buy into that consciously, then we're never going to change it, because we'll believe it, which is what happens for most people. We go, yeah, so then I better not do it. Or we try and pretend. That's not productive. So answering it first with, what would I say to a friend who was wanting to be a relationship coach and isn't in a relationship right now? And if this person was saying to me, oh, well, I can't do it because I would be a fraud, what would I answer them? How would I reassure them? How would I encourage them? And so that might look like, well, you don't have to be doing the thing in order to help someone else. I don't know a lot about sport, but I don't think that all of the coaches have necessarily reached the levels of athleticism, being fit, being good at the game.
Yeah.
As the ones that they are helping, the ones that they are coaching. So there's something you can answer to yourself. A person doesn't have to have done the thing to be able to help someone else to do the thing. So that's a logical answer you can give yourself. And that may be what you would say to your friend. Start by saying that to yourself. That's the first piece. The second piece that's really important is recognizing that what you're feeling is not about now. It feels very real, and it seems to make sense that it's about now, but it's not. It's coming from a deeper place. It's coming from the unconscious part of your brain referring to your self-image. And the great news is that can be changed. So that part of your brain can be changed to match the person who doesn't have imposter syndrome, the person who is similar to you, doesn't have what you think you should have, but doesn't feel bad about it and does what it takes to get to whatever the result is. To find out more about that, we have a free masterclass because it's a bigger topic. There's a lot of explanation there. We have a free masterclass. It's about 30 minutes and you can sign up for that. The link is in the description, and that will go into detail on what those unconscious references are, how the self-image is created, and most importantly, how to change it. And it's very exciting. This is something that nobody else is talking about that we know of. That is, this is new research in neuroscience and that kind of thing. It's very exciting. It's very doable. We've both done it, and we've done it with our clients.
And the reality now, if somebody would have told me that I could have let go of that feeling and to be on the backside of that now and to recognize where in fact that was coming from. And again, we're going to go more into that into the masterclass, but understanding that this is brain structure that we can change.
Yes.
It's not magic. It is dealing with
Physical,
processes.
physiology.
We're utilizing what the brain is naturally doing anyway all the time.
Spot on.
And, so it's learning how to take control of this unconscious machinery that has been operating and running our lives in propelling us forward with these feelings for decades.
I remember when we first started doing our business together, this coaching business back in 2017. And I remember we were having a conversation.
Oh, no.
and you were like, but how do we know we'll get any clients? I remember that so clearly. And I was like, I did feel that we would get clients. I didn't know how far it would go. I didn't know we would achieve what we've achieved now. But I do remember that. And looking back on that now, so that was imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I had a degree that I was carrying around, a couple of degrees that I was carrying around, had years of experience prior to that of working with people. But, again, I can go back. I can trace that feeling of imposter syndrome, not good enough, low self-esteem, self-doubt, all of that kind of stuff. I can walk that all the way back, which is in essence what we're doing, is going back and changing those references. But I can see that whole pattern was there. And to be able to sit here today and go, oh no problem. We'll get plenty of clients.
We've had plenty of clients. Yes, exactly. So
absolutely.
Looking now at the volume of people that we've helped since then, like a whole new world, a whole new paradigm compared to back then.
Well,
when we first started.
And I know that as we changed that program of imposter syndrome, eliminating the roots of that, getting at what was really the core there, then that allowed us to see the world differently. It allowed us to make different choices and take different action, because we weren't seeing the world, our business through that filter of imposter
and ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. We encourage you to watch that masterclass that will go into exactly how the self-image is formed in the brain and how you can change it. And it's based on the latest in neuroscience. And you won't have heard it anywhere else. I would be surprised if you've heard what we share in that masterclass anywhere else.
Yeah, so do that. No need to drag around that imposter stuff anymore.
And we will see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye now.